Hey guys, how's it going? So today I'm here to talk about bosses versus employees. Now I'm not talking about every boss here. There are some bosses out there that are, they're really cool, they're brilliant. There's a reason why they're the managers. They work hard, they don't slack off. There's a reason why they're the boss. But there are so few and far between. I'm talking about these bosses. You know who these bosses are if you've worked with one or you're working with one. And so here's the first example. Let's say you're the worker. You're working and you're doing thing A, and you notice thing B is something you also work on, but it doesn't take priority over thing A. Let's say you're working on thing A, and then there's nothing really you need to do with thing A at the present, but you see thing B needs some attention. You need to go work on that for a second. So you take initiative and you go over to thing B and you handle it. It's simple. You get more work done and you're staying productive. I did something like that recently, but when I went over there and I was working on thing B, my boss comes over and says like, "Why aren't you doing thing A?" I'm sure we've all had something similar to like that happen to us before, and I just don't understand it. There's nothing to do at thing A. I was working on thing B because I needed attention. But now let's reverse it, because I'm sure that if I decided, no, I'm gonna play it safe, I'm gonna work on thing A, I'm not gonna take any initiative, but I'm just gonna focus on thing A. I'm sure my boss would come and say, "Why isn't thing B worked on? Why hasn't it been taken care of?" So either way, you lose in that situation. So if you take initiative, your boss is gonna get mad at you, and if you don't take initiative and you work hard on thing A just to be safe, your boss is still gonna get mad at you. You're still gonna lose either way. And another thing about managers or bosses, it's like they say they do things, but they really don't. And it's like, and I'll give you a perfect example. It was a while back here, but I was working at this job where I had to write down things I did in my work shift, like projects I worked on in the store, and I wrote down everything I did. And one day I decided, let's play a joke on the manager just to see if he catches it. So I write down everything like I did, but at the very end I write down solved world hunger. I was expecting just a good laugh or anything, just to see a response from my manager, see what he would say. Not a word, in which tells me, one, he says he does read it every day, but obviously he doesn't because he would have brought it up. Because if you see the phrase solved world hunger, you're definitely going to be curious. That would have sparked some sort of conversation. So it shows that they say they're going to do something, but they don't. In fact, when I did that, nobody else in my department even said anything. So that told me I was the only one that was both writing and reading what everybody else has done. Nobody cared. Another thing about bosses that I think employees really hate is they say when they're gonna do something but they don't do it or they forget to do it. And here's the thing. Personally, if I forget to do something, or if I say I'm gonna do something and something happens, I don't get to it, I take responsibility for it because that's on me. I don't want somebody else to get in trouble for something that I did or did not do and said I was gonna do. I take responsibility for it. That's the kind of person I am. But when your bosses and say they're going to do something and they don't do it, they deny it. They say, "No, I did it," even though it's clearly the evidence shows no, you did not do it. You may have been mistaken that you thought you did it, but it wasn't done the right way or something, or you may have missed a step. Instead of going A, B, C, you just went to A to C. It happens. It's human error. It happens to all of us. And so even if the evidence was right there, right in front of them, and they're like, no, I did it right, and that's it. And then they just walk away. They think everything is golden, everything is fine. It's like everything they say is like the best thing ever said, and like their entire life is like gospel. Like if you work like me and you act like me, you may be just as good as me, but you never get as high as me. You know what I'm saying? And I think we would all have more respect for our bosses if they said, yeah, if they admitted that, yeah, I did forget or I did mess up. But no, they say, "No, I did it," and then they walk away. So it's like they can do no wrong. And then, like, I think we've all seen something like this, where Let's say you're working down on a floor, and then their boss, you know, he or she is like on the second floor with, like, you know, in their office with windows, and they can look out onto like the floor, or, you know, any kind of situation like that, really. And then you just see them standing there looking out, just looking at everybody working down, and like everybody on the floor or wherever, you're working as hard as you can, you're trying to get as much money as you can to raise your family and to just pay your bills and to just get by. While that manager's just standing up there for 5-10 minutes, whatever it is, doesn't do a thing, and he's making a lot more money than you are. Now, it's understandable if a boss is looking out just for a few seconds to make sure everything's okay, and then goes back to work at a desk, you know, on the phone, or typing on a computer, or filling reports, whatever. That's fine. The manager is working. He is doing his job. But, you know, those managers that just stand there and just watch us, all they do is watch. It just makes it go, ah! I mean, you just literally, you feel like a part your head wants to explode, and you see that, and you just really want to tell them that they're not doing their job. But if you tell them that, obviously you're not going to have a job for much longer. And all this, you know, all this emotion fills up inside, and it gets to a point where you want to tell that manager off, and then the manager finally comes by and they say do something. You want to tell them off, you want to tell them, you want to give them a piece of your mind, but every single time you're like, yes sir, yes ma'am, and then they walk away and you're like, argh! And just a little piece of you just dies inside. And I think that's the reason why we die. Not by old age. Age is gonna kill us eventually. But I'm talking about what's inside. By the time you get to retirement, there's nothing left inside, because we have just been so killed and stressed out by work. There's nothing left, and all that's left is just an empty shell. And you're sitting at home, you're retired, and you're gonna end up on that porch, and then all of a sudden kids are gonna come to you along and be like, "Oh, you stupid kids, get off my lawn!" You know, and nobody wants to be that way. You don't want to be so stressed out in your life that there's nothing left but hate and an empty shell full of bad memories. So that in that way, I think that work does kill us a little bit on the inside every single day, just a little bit.